I have listened to so many money preachers, and most of them say that the difference between the rich and the poor is discipline. And it's from here that I would like to hear from you. What disciplines does your father do or have that other entrepreneurs do not have?
He's a very disciplined man, way more disciplined than me. I think because of the struggle he had as a child and his teenage years, his formative years, going through poverty, losing his father, and having so much responsibility on his shoulders, he realized he had to do things differently from others because he had a different kind of burden than anyone else. And so for him, I think that's enough of a motivator that he's very disciplined. You'll never see him in a bar. He doesn't drink. He wakes up early every single day. He doesn't indulge. He doesn't eat sugar or bad foods. He exercises every day, sometimes twice a day. He's very clear and honest about how he thinks or what he feels in the moment. This thing of being used, he's not going to say something nice with you and then come out and say, that person used us. He's going to talk to you about it straight up in the meeting.
Live with Simon Chris Makanga. If it's your very first time here, go ahead and subscribe. Our special guest tonight is a very intelligent, beautiful, talented, eloquent, a daughter of the second richest man in this land. We're going to have a conversation about entrepreneurship. We're going to have a conversation about money. So if you are an entrepreneur or you aspire to be one, join me as we sit at her feet and learn. Dr.Nataliey Bitature. It's a pleasure to have you on Live with Simon Chris Makanga.
Thank you for having me, Simon. It's nice to be here.
I'm looking forward to whatever we're going to talk about, but I pray we're going to be guided by the grace of God as you share the wisdom that you possess and that enables you to do the kind of things you do. Out of curiosity, how does it feel not to worry about money?
I don't know why you think people who are rich don't worry about money. That doesn't make sense.
Like, have you ever...
You don't worry about, will I be able to eat today? But you have bigger problems that you worry about with money. Will I be able to pay the salaries of the 1,000 people I employ today? So it's not my food I worry about. It's all their food and all the households that they support that I have to think about.
Wow.
So you still worry about money.
How did you know that you're going to end up as an entrepreneur?
I don't think that was a choice. When you're born in our family, that's the only path that's given. So I think entrepreneurship comes almost more naturally to us because we're raised around it and we grew up thinking like entrepreneurs. There's some times where I thought I would like a job. I think it's like a secret fantasy where you're like, imagine having a job where at 5 o'clock you go home and the problems are not yours. But it's not something I think I could ever do or enjoy at this point. So it's entrepreneurship for me.
How do you measure success?
For me personally, well, firstly, I think success it's individual. Everyone needs to have their own measure of success. And for me, success is living every day like you want to be there. Because I feel like I've had so much time in my life where my life is obligations and I don't want to be there and I don't enjoy what I'm doing, but I have to do it. And I think a lot of people live like that. And I think a lot of people think if I make a certain amount of money, then my life will be good. But mine, it has nothing to do with how much money I'm making. It's about the work I'm doing every day. And money has not been able to change that. So I feel like that's what success means to me, where every day I get up and I want to have that day. I'm doing something that's impactful, that's purposeful, that I enjoy, that brings me joy, that leaves the world a bit better than where I left it yesterday, and that I have a good source of community, I have variety. So something that's in line with my values.
Okay. Recently, I read your LinkedIn. You just came back from UK, and you had a meeting with UNICEF UK.
Save the Children.
Save the Children, rather, UK. Sorry. When you go in such big meetings, you've also had meetings with the United Nations, World Bank. When you go for such meetings, who are you representing? Is it Simba Group of Companies? Is it the entrepreneurs you always speak to? Is it Africa? Is it Uganda?
I think it's a combination. So I'll get invited officially under one of the capacities I have, whether it's Chief of Staff Simba Group, Board Chair for Save the Children, Founder for Her Working Women, or Founder for Musana Carts. So the way you get invited is now what decides the relevant audience. All the things that I do are relevant to young Africans. So a lot of the time it's young African women. Sometimes it's young Africans or it's children, like with Save the Children. So depending on those issues, that's who I'm representing. So I have to keep that in mind when I get there. How I show up, what I talk about, the points I bring across, the action points, the agenda, what I want to walk away with, and what I want the audience to remember about why I was there. So I have to make sure I represent that audience accurately.
So what exactly do you tell them, especially about Uganda?
Uganda has so many wonderful things. A lot of the time, it's about showing people what they can't see or hear. You understand storytelling, right? So a lot of the time, I feel like I'm a bridge between two sides of something. So for example, with Save the Children, I'm the chair for the Africa board. So my job is to go to the different African countries and see what the work Save the Children is doing on the ground. And then when I go to the UK, I have to represent what I have seen and explain it in a way that the people there will understand. Because a lot of the time, they've never been in this context. They don't understand why.
Why do you think you were appointed for that job?
I think to have the ability to speak both languages, essentially, is why I have these kinds of roles.
Okay.
Because if I have to go to Parliament in the UK and explain why climate change is affecting African girls, it's such a far-fetched thing for someone sitting in a suit in Parliament in London, whereas I get to go into the refugee settlement areas here and I see it and I speak to them and I understand what is really going on, what are your fears, what's challenging for you. So my job is to convey that girl's challenge to the person who's going to pay for the program that's going to get her out of this situation.
I'm sure you visited a couple of camps. What comes into your mind?
It's tough. It's tough. The work of people who do this every day, like spending time with Save the Children staff, they're the most joyous people, yet they have the hardest jobs because they see so much. The stories and the weight of what they carry, people who work in refugee settlement areas, it's very difficult. What the people who they work with have gone through, the trauma, and they've survived, and now they have to build a whole new life in a whole new place with no support. So they essentially become your family, your friends, your government, your resources. And so now to help you to pick up the pieces and start to dream afresh of what your life can be.
Actually, you reminded me of a conversation I had with a friend a couple of months ago. I was trying to define to him, or for him, who a refugee is, or what it means to be a refugee. Imagine you live in Uganda, but in the next few hours, you end up in Kenya. You don't speak Swahili. You have no access to any basic need. You no water, no food, no communication, no nothing. You're vulnerable and very desperate. You're in a foreign land, but you have to survive. And that's where you come in and bring back the word smile on their faces. Wow.
It's hard work, but people deserve the opportunity. They deserve to have a chance to get their dignity back.
True.
They're educated, they have vibrant personalities and characters, they have big families, but they get treated as a statistic when it's just a report somewhere. So I think stories bring those reports to life to make someone know this is a person with potential, with a life, with feelings, with care, who can do so much more. And so I think Uganda is a wonderful example of a country which has very good refugee policies. And we have good programs, so it's usually used as an example. That's one of the areas we can say really we're doing well because of how we treat and support them well.
True. And we're really doing well. So now let's speak about one of the jobs that you do. Board chair, Simba Group of Companies. It's a very huge job. I can only imagine what keeps you busy there and managing all the people. But how did you get there?
Okay, so for Simba Group, I cannot be the chair. I have a chairman. My dad is the chairman. I don't think that's about to change. I do sit on the board and I'm a director in the companies, and then I'm chief of staff within operations. So what that basically means is I move between the different companies, the board, and any kind of external stakeholders. So again, my job is to translate so that everyone is on the same page. What's the vision? What's the goal? What's the strategy? What are we trying to achieve? Who needs to be involved for us to get there? Now we all have to make sure we understand who is responsible for what and we move forward.
So you're ever moving around Kampala every day?
Yeah, I can go to 3 offices in one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how would you deal with all those egos?
Whew. Dealing with people is a big challenge. I think what's helped me with time is you have to learn people. And when I say learn people, everyone has a different temperament, a different motivator. What drives them, what stresses them out, what upsets them, what do they need to be encouraged, how do you support them to do their best work? That's my job. Because by the time you have that job, you're the best candidate for the role. So now it's my job to make sure that the environment is supporting you. You have the team you need, the resources you need, you're being listened to so that you can get your job done well. So that's about learning people and managing who is responsible for what. Sometimes, yes, there are a lot of different big egos. Personally, I feel like you should not have too many big egos in one bucket, right? In the same office or the same company or the same project. Because a big ego sometimes comes with a big leader or a good leader, but it's something to manage generally with people. And everyone has an ego. Sometimes even a small ego means it's something that can easily be offended. So you need to be able to manage people, not just their egos, but to see them as a whole. Everyone has their strengths and their weaknesses. And as an employer, it's part of my job to encourage the strengths and see how to mitigate the weaknesses.
What makes you a good leader?
What makes me a good leader? Well, I think you'd have to ask the people I lead. I think I try my best to constantly learn about leadership and practice different policies and ideas and concepts, but also to trust my team and empower the people I work with. So I think a lot about being a good leader is being organized and being respectful. So respect the person who has that job. Don't undermine them. Don't micromanage them. But also be very organized so that you know what's coming. Being a good leader, I think a lot of it is about being able to anticipate the challenges, the problems, the projects, the goals, and to be able to get ahead of it. You can't be a good leader if you're always in crisis management. You need to get ahead of things. You need to be able to plan next year, next quarter. What do I need? What's working? What's not working? So constant evaluation and assessment, and to see how you can keep everyone moving forward.
Wow. And that's what you do every day.
Yeah.
What keeps you busy then on a Monday?
There's a lot of different parts. I think what's interesting and challenging with my work is I don't deal with one. I tried once to do like 1 day per company, but it doesn't work that way because the things pop up as they pop up. Telecom needs you in the morning, then you need to be on a farm, then you need to be dealing in a finance meeting, then you're doing interviews all afternoon, then you have to do some filming for social media, then you have an event or a dinner, you need to do a few phone calls, or you need to read a report or plan for something. So there's always like a lot of mixed up things.
And by the way, that's
through.
exactly what was running in my mind. I was trying to imagine what really keeps you busy. Actually, I was with my wife and I'm like, let's just try. You never know. Let's just try. And believe you me, you are the very first person to respond.
Yeah.
And Belinda followed back. Amid this all your busy schedule.
Team, you see?
Amid this all the busy schedule that you have.
You have to be
You spare
organized.
time to come and have a conversation with us.
Because it's important. I think.
Thank you so much.
I have been so blessed to have mentors and like people who have taught me so much. Of course, I want to share as much as I can. It's information. It doesn't take anything for me to share. This is just my time this afternoon. But I hope when someone listens or watches, they'll learn something and then they'll apply it in their lives, and then that information spreads. That's why it's important for me to keep doing this kind of work as well. And even if I'm super busy with other things, sometimes my mom will be like, are they paying you? Are they paying you to do all these things? Why are you doing that? You have a job. And I'm like, it's not money that I'm being paid in. It's the impact. And so it makes me happy to know that someone is benefiting. If I'm going to study this concept, let me not benefit alone. If I'm going to do this course, or if I'm going to have this mentor, it doesn't take anything from me. In fact, it gives me more to know that I can share this information with others.
Glad you speak to a couple of them, and I've seen most of the videos around. What do you tell them?
I think entrepreneurs need a lot of encouragement. You know, what I realized when I first came out of university and started working is because I grew up in a business family, we are used to the ups and downs of business. But most people who haven't grown up in that situation, their first business is so hard. And business is hard. I really understand that. So I think entrepreneurs need a lot of encouragement, and they need easy access to information, specific information that will help you. Because they're not teaching us entrepreneurship in school, right? So you need to know what you need to do, the facts, the statistics, the finances, teamwork, concepts, principles. And also you need someone to keep telling you it's okay, keep going.
You know?
The hard times will be there. There are going to be so many, but you have to just keep going. And I think a lot of business gets glamorized. So you'll see like rich people on Instagram or fancy things. And then it's misleading because you feel like, me, I'm struggling. It's hard to do all these things. How will I ever get there? So I feel like we have to show behind the curtain what's really going on in a business. Tell the truth.
Let me open one curtain. I was speaking to one of my colleagues, and we were trying to speak to a client. me, I wanted the business. But they were like, no, that guy is going to use you. That guy is going to use your services. And this thing is so common with so many people. I've had people say, I've been used for so many years. Before I crossed my 3rd birthday as an entrepreneur, so many people used me. What do they mean by using the other?
I get that. I hear that. It's a complaint. A lot of the time, I think the formal way to say it's you're being exploited. Someone is using your services or your skills, your talent, your products, and you're not being compensated accurately for it, fairly, right? So now, I think there are the challenges on both sides. When you're an entrepreneur and you're starting out, you need good reviews, you need customers. So you either start with a low price or you say, I'll give my friends and family for free, they'll talk about my business. There, that's okay. You're consenting. But now to feel used is different because also you didn't speak up when they were trying to use you. You're like, let me just do it because I need the business. But the truth is, it hurts you. So I think if it's going to hurt you, say no. Don't do something you're not comfortable with. Don't do something that you're going to regret. It's going to make you bitter. How many people did I give free services and now they haven't called me or paid me? That's the cost of doing business. But plan for it. Say the first 10 products I'll give free and I hope it's the right mileage and I hope it takes me far. After that, I have to charge. Otherwise, I'll have no business. So I think it has to be an assessment of the entrepreneur on their point. That's why I'm saying entrepreneurs need this kind of specific information because you're not going to learn that in an accounting class or, So you have to assess those things for yourself. How much can you afford to give away for free or a discounted rate? And how are you going to make the most of what you discounted? Did you take pictures? Did you ask them to write a testimonial? Did they post about you? So that you get something in return. It's not always money, but you have to feel like you got something also. It's transactional. Then you don't feel exploited.
Okay. You must find something to give out.
Yeah.
So now, let's speak about Simba Group of Companies. It's a generation business. And now it is transiting from mosaic into your hands. It's in black and white. I believe everyone who starts a business, I've read and had a couple of money voices or money preachings. And Mosaic has also written a one, Mosaic Patrick Bitature, how to make sense of your money. We shall speak to that book a little bit. But then, I have listened to so many money preachers, and most of them say that the difference between the rich and the poor is discipline. And it's from here that I would like to hear from you. What disciplines does your father do or have that other entrepreneurs do not have?
He's a very disciplined man, way more disciplined than me. I think because of the struggle he had as a child and his teenage years, his formative years, going through poverty, losing his father, and having so much responsibility on his shoulders, he realized he had to do things differently from others because he had a different kind of burden than anyone else. And so for him, I think that's enough of a motivator that he's very disciplined. You'll never see him in a bar. He doesn't drink. He wakes up early every single day. He doesn't indulge. He doesn't eat sugar or bad foods. He exercises every day, sometimes twice a day. He's very clear and honest about how he thinks or what he feels in the moment. This thing of being used, he's not going to say something nice with you and then come out and say, that person used us. He's going to talk to you about it straight up in the meeting. So I think he has a lot of discipline he built into his character by force. I don't think it was his nature. His nature is a very calm, relaxed, soft person. He's not confrontational. He's not aggressive. But because of circumstance, he realized he has to be disciplined. He saw the goal of where he wanted to go, how he had to restore his family's name, how he had to look after his siblings, how he had to look after us. And that really drives him every day. So he doesn't compromise on certain things. He's not a person who he wakes up and thinks about business sometimes. No, it's there all the time, every day, wherever he is. So he's very intense in that way. And I think that's the kind of discipline is why he has been able to achieve all the things he's been able to achieve. Because even me, I do so many things. I'm so busy, but sometimes I'm too tired. Some days I'm too stressed. I don't want to deal with this or I can't. He doesn't have those days of I can't. Every day is his own. It's not that it's Sunday, he's resting. Every day is a day to do the most that you can that day. So I think that level of discipline is very difficult to achieve. And also from spending time with people like him, around him, sometimes when I travel with him or I meet other successful CEOs or presidents or millionaires or billionaires, you can see it in everything they do. Every little detail, their systems, their teams, the way they dress, the way they speak, nothing is off.
They're always the same.
Because they have that level of That eye for detail, they've built a system because they're disciplined and they expect everyone else around them to also meet that high standard, which is why they're able to do so much.
What is that discipline that he always emphasizes, especially to you? It's in black and white that he speaks to you almost, I think, every day.
He tells us not to feel sorry for ourselves because you're capable of more than you think you can do. What you think you can do in a day, you can do 5 times more that. But you're just being lazy. You're just being slow. You're not trying hard enough. All his dreams are huge. I'll be exhausted. It's 7 p.m. I want to go home. He's here like, now I have this idea. Come, I tell you. And I'm just like, how do you have this energy even to think of such a thing? Because he knows this feeling sorry for yourself. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I didn't sleep enough. My body hurts. Or, I need a break. He doesn't believe in those things. Leave? What is leave? Me, I've ever taken leave? Because he doesn't understand. He's like, you can go. You can do so much.
Is that who you are?
I don't think so. I think I have more enjoyments and fun as a part of my personality. Because I think he's had so much on his back his whole life. He's someone who struggles to relax and enjoy. So that's something, a lesson I've taken. I don't want to reach his age and I don't know how to have fun anymore because I've been working so much and looking after so many people. But because he worked so hard, I don't have to look after all those people, So I don't have the level of responsibility that he does. So I try to find a balance for myself that's authentic to my personality and my own goals and what success is to me, where I do respect the discipline and I do think I work a lot harder than a lot of people I know. But at the same time, I also learn to take a break, to enjoy small things in life and appreciate stuff that's not productive.
So now it's a generational business. It's crossing over from Mosaic into your hands. Do you feel like you own it?
Yeah, definitely. I think that one we learn from a young age because I've been working in Simba since I was a kid, in my holidays, as a teenager, all the time. So you start to feel ownership over the things and you start to realize you're not the same as the other staff who work there. Because anything that goes wrong, then they can go home. This is your problem. I don't have anyone to pass it to except my parents. And so I feel a lot of ownership and responsibility to the people we work with, to our customers, even to like every little piece, every tile, every bulb, everything that's ours. You start to feel ownership and responsibility for it.
Did you read his books?
He hasn't formally written a book that's his book. He'll write like a foreword here, or he'll do an interview for someone, or he'll recommend. There's someone who wrote a book about him, but he keeps saying he wants to write a book, We try to help him, but it's hard. It's so hard to try and figure out the theme and the flow, and his life has been so long with so many different stories and parts, and what are the parts you want to highlight and emphasize. And I think it's something
he wrote something about making sense of your money. I'm sure you've read it.
That is in someone's book. Is that in Mose's book?
Yes, he has written something about that. And there's something he emphasized about the will. And in the businesses, like when you're building a generational business or a family business, let's start from where it begins. Do you start business knowing that my business is going to be a generational or a family business? Or things just change along the way?
I think you have to start with a vision. I think why my dad is successful, he had a big vision. I'm sure when he was in his 20s, if he talked about his dream, everyone would have told him you're crazy. But it's that level of crazy. These days, the kids call it delulu. You gotta be a bit delusional in what you think is possible. And then you start to execute. So I think he dreams big and he always knew what he wanted to do and what he wanted it to be. And of course, once you have God in your life, your dreams are even made possible and they can even be bigger than you thought. You just need to start to move in that direction. If you show the will and you put in the work and the time and the effort and you know the vision of where you're going, you will definitely get there. You can even pass there. So I think it's something along the way he realized he wants it to continue. And now we're trying to set up the structures so that these businesses will last even beyond me. Even beyond my kids. It should not be that you need a Bitature there for the customer to run, for the Skies Hotel to have lights on and customers eating food.
So what do you do different?
You build systems. You have company culture. You think about it on a bigger scale. So instead of planning for next year, we have to plan for the next 20 years. And then you work backwards. How do we get things so that they're stable enough that no one thing can shake it up and ruin everything? So that the systems, the people, the processes, the ecosystem, it lives on beyond you. Because there are businesses all over the world that are hundreds of years old. We're not the first to try and do it. We're even young in Africa. I'm sure we have very few businesses that pass 100 years in Africa because we didn't start so long ago. Our countries are all still trying to stabilize. But also now we're just getting the practices. You can't just copy and paste what worked in Asia or in Europe. There's culture. There's different things to figure out. There's politics. There's different climates. There's different challenges. So we have to figure out our own systems for sustainability so that these businesses outlive us all.
Now, speaking about sustainability, there's a common saying in business or in entrepreneurship that family and business don't connect. I've seen many people, and I've heard so many people, they would take a flight to Dubai and they only post after 2 months, but they went, either they don't want the family members to know that he went for a business trip in Dubai.
What have you bought for me?
So what sustains Simba Group of companies?
You know, I don't think it's fair to say family and business don't get along. Actually, yesterday I was reading a McKinsey report that said 60% of the world's GDP comes from family-owned businesses. Because there's no organization that starts just as an organization. It's always human beings. It's people. Who is the easiest person to start a business with? Your family members. Because you know each other. So it removes a whole other layer of, is going to cheat me, is loyal, where is the plan, what to do. Yeah, it makes it more complicated because your relationship dynamics are more complicated. But I think it's a nice thing. It's also nice to work with your family. When it works well, it works really, really well. You just have to navigate it in a different way.
Okay. So how would you stay motivated?
I think you have to remember why you start things, why you do things. It's easy to get lost when things are tough, when things are hard, when they're not going according to what you wanted. But you have to remember the big picture. Why did you even agree to this? Why did you even start this? Not every single day is going to be good and great and fun. There are going to be a lot of hard days. You have to enjoy the process as well. You have to know why you keep going. What is the result? When I speak to women entrepreneurs, I try to remind them of that. I'm like, why did you really start this business? Yes, you want some money, but what do you want that money for? You need to remember that and hold on to it because you want your child to have this particular thing that you can't give them right now. So that's what's going to drive you to work for the next 6 months of people telling you, no, it's too expensive, it's too cheap, I don't like the quality, try again, come tomorrow, I didn't pick, I'll pay next week. You're going to have to fight through all of that. So your why better be very serious to you.
Why did you start Her Working Woman?
I started her because I didn't feel like there was an easy place that was a safe space for women who want to work and earn money and grow their businesses and careers, for them to learn and to grow together. Even with all the privilege I have, with all the exposure, the opportunities, I am constantly surrounded by men. I've been taught by men my whole life, starting from my father, my professors, my mentors, because we still live in such a patriarchal world. And yet, the reality is my day every day is not the same as my father's because I'm a woman. There's so many nuances. There's so many small things that he can't teach me because he's never had to live his life as a woman entrepreneur. So once I started realizing that and learning from other women, and then other women started asking me, I was like, we have to find a more efficient way to share this information. Because also, I don't have all the answers. So when you bring women together, I talk about mine, you talk about yours, we're all learning, we're all growing, and no one feels stupid asking questions. Because we know what we all go through and the different struggles we can share. And so I was really motivated for that. And I'm been so happy how it has grown and flourished. It grows beyond me now. Other ideas, other guests, other speakers, other cities, because it's still a need in the world. People keep saying how we need to worry about the boy child. Now there's been too much about the women. But it was a lot about women, but it was very specific and in certain areas. And yes, we do need to also address men because women have changed and men need to also be supported to understand and adapt to that change, which is where I think we're losing a lot. But we're not even close to getting to a place where women and men are equally supported in how they want to live their lives, how they want to have careers, education, opportunities. So I think there's still a lot of work to be done in this area.
Wow. And do you pray?
Yes.
What do you tell God on a bad day?
On a bad day, I try to be understanding because I think God gives us opportunities to be better. So God is giving you the opportunity to improve your character. When I'm saying there's so many problems, I try to reframe it and say, what does God want me to learn from this situation? What are you trying to teach me?
How do you define your bad day?
I'm a planner. So me, I like to plan everything in advance. I know what I'm expecting. And so for me, a bad day is when things don't go according to what I would like them to do. So I know it's controlling, but it's how things have worked for me. So if I've trusted someone with something and I've given them all this time and resources, and now I show up on the day and it is a disaster, I'm upset. Or if I've done all this planning, I've put in all this effort, all this energy to get things to be at a certain level in a certain way, and then at the last minute it falls apart, or someone doesn't show up, or there's a new obstacle. I'm like, it's frustrating. So for me, those are bad days. When there's days where there's a surprise, like, oh, this has happened now, and we didn't see it coming, we didn't plan for it. Okay. In the moment, I don't want to be upset. There's no time for that. Let's figure it out. How do we salvage the situation? How do we mitigate the fallout? How do we prepare so that this never happens again? How did we miss this? So you try and do that assessment. But for me, when I get home at night, I'm like, God, did I need that lesson today? What are you trying to teach me? What am I not seeing? What am I not understanding? And how can I support the system around me? What do I need to learn so that I am in a better position tomorrow?
I love what one of the most things that keeps you busy is speaking to the people who aspire to be where you are. Let it be women, let it be the entrepreneurs that you always speak to. Is there something that you learn from them?
Definitely. This is why I love interacting, and like, we call it going into the field, but for me that means when you're not stuck in the office. I hate being stuck in the office. I like to speak to people and listen to people, because everyone has something they can teach you. Everyone is walking a different path in life that you would have never seen. It's like watching a movie. You get a glimpse into this person's world. You know, they'll tell you their story or what they're going through that day. They'll tell you something joyful. They'll show you a picture of their kids. They'll teach you something about what they're wearing or where they went or what they said. And it just, I feel like those are all small details that make your own life more full. So I'm always learning, and I'm always trying to understand how we all fit together in this world, in this system, and how my work can impact them and how their work impacts me, because we all have to work together. That's how human beings are designed. That's how communities are designed. And then we all move forward.
So now, besides speaking to them, at Simba group of companies and maybe other ventures that you're doing, besides speaking to them, are there funding opportunities that they can maybe pick from?
Oh yeah, Simba Group, we have circles for the staff in the different companies. So they also have their own system, saving, training, borrowing as you need, because access to credit is a huge issue in Africa. And even with hardworking women, actually 3 months ago, we launched our own circle so that our ladies can also start to like save and borrow with us, because it is a big problem. So it's an important aspect to support people. I don't encourage borrowing without support. I think I've spent too much time with like in the startup system where there's all these programs and grants and things, but you don't give anyone guidance. So I feel like before you give anyone money, they need to have financial literacy training. And in a way that you don't just stand there and talk to them. They ask you questions, they write it out, they plan, they get interactive. So that's the kind of trainings we do with hardworking women, so that they can make it practical. The same 100,000 I give you and you give me, we're going to use it in different ways. We're going to think about it in different ways. So for me, it's important to understand that you've understood how you're going to spend this money, how you're going to pay it back, why you need this money for yourself. Then you give them the money, and then you have some sort of support later. You can't also just give someone money and disappear, and then you come, where's the money?
So what does it take to tap into those funding opportunities?
If you're a member of the Hardworking Women's Network, you're always free to join the circle, join the training, start saving, start borrowing. That one is open for all the ladies. In Simba Group, you'll be part of the circle once you're part of the staff. And then
so it's only for the staff?
Yeah.
How about the young entrepreneurs?
If there are women there in Hardworking Women, there I can offer the circle. I think for men, we still have a challenge. There's a lot of microfinances, but I think you really have to understand what you're agreeing to and what you're signing up for. There's a lot of also new good startups that I would say have softer lending, like Numida. It's an app. You do all the inputting about your business through the app, and they'll send you mobile money as a loan, and then you pay it back slowly. Because I think there's a lot more data right now about the spending habits of young entrepreneurs and young African entrepreneurs. And so all these fintechs are improving every year, because they're understanding their customers better. It's not like Europe where they have 100 years of data. Here we are just learning, what does an entrepreneur who's 25 and is in a rural place in Africa needing right now? How much money? What are his spending habits? What does he need that money for? Because a lot of the time, you're going to borrow for your business, but you're going to pay school fees. You're going to pay for someone's medical. The other day, your auntie or your sister or your daughter is going to need food. So there are different things that we have to account for. And you can't say, now you spent that money on medical, how are you going to pay back my loan? With that attitude, because you want to support your customers, to support them to grow. once they are succeeding, you are also succeeding. So that's the attitude we take, where we want to give you loans. So we go through this process where you're supported in how you take the loan. And then once you have it, we stay in touch with you. Are you okay? How is the business going? Are your kids fine? Have you shown up for the meeting? Have you shown up for the training? What are you struggling with? Are you going to be able to make your payment on time this month? So you kind of have to get to know your customers in a whole new way so that you can support them and they support you.
Allow me to speak on behalf of the young entrepreneurs, including myself. How does one build a team? And who should that entrepreneur hire first?
I think when it comes to building a team, you have to move slowly. Of course, it's fun and cool to look like you have a whole team. But teams cost money. Those are people too. And by the time you're taking someone and asking them for their time and their energy, you better be compensating them. So I think at first you want a team that's very flexible. People who have lots of skills and are sort of shadowing you. You, when you're an entrepreneur, you know you have to be everything. You have to be the boss, you have to be the cleaner, you have to be the one frying, the one doing accounting, the one doing HR, the one filing NSSF. You have to do everything. So once you start to see who you need next, what is the most pressing thing? Is it either the thing you have the biggest gap with, if you really suck at finance and now you're making money, you need someone to help you to organize that? Or is it that you don't have the time to be in the shop the whole day? You need a shopkeeper first so that you can be dealing with suppliers, you can be doing marketing, trying to free up your time. You need to look at what's your biggest gap first. And a lot of that time, it will be your weakness or something that's opposite you. That's why you don't want to do it. Or if you're the person who needs to be the salesperson, you need to be in the shop, then that means you need someone who's going to do the other side, the back end of things, right? The admin. So you try and look for what's opposite of you as your first hire, I would say. And then as your team grows, try and make sure you have diversity so that you have different opinions. Because if you all think the same, you're going to have the same blind spots. So it's harder to have a team where you have different opinions, you're from different backgrounds, you don't agree on things, but disagreeing is a good thing. It means you're seeing many perspectives. You just have to have good communication so you disagree in a healthy way, not that we are fighting in the office.
Wow. And let's speak about mental health. Because, and I'm coming from almost the same background, that it is what keeps you busy every day. There will be that moment where you feel like, I need to refill. I've been consuming a lot. How would you detoxify your mind?
I think it's an important question. And I think it's something, the sooner you build systems that replenish you, the better for the rest of your life. Me, I learned the hard way. I worked so much and pushed myself till I physically crashed. Like my body just gets sick when I'm too tired. And I did that a couple of times, and then I started reading about burnout, and I was like, I really need to prioritize my mental health because then it's more sustainable. Because when you're not okay, your team is suffering, your company is suffering, you're not making the best decisions. So I feel like it's about building good daily practices. It's nice to say, I'll take leave in 6 months. By the time that 6 months reaches, will you have any hair left in your head? You need to have daily practices. So prayer is a good one, meditation is a good one. I do reflections in the evenings. I set intentions in the mornings. Then small stuff physically, like drinking enough water, getting exercise. I really like yoga. So those are things you can do. Water every day, all the time. Exercise a couple times a week. And then knowing what replenishes you, like you said, to refill. So there are things that I feel like I need to do with other people and some things I need to do by myself. So stuff like having some quiet time to yourself to like plan on like a Sunday. I need to plan my week. I don't want to be around people and do that. I need quiet time so I can really think deeply. Which thing is going to require a lot of energy? Which thing requires preparation? Which do I need to show up? Which one do I need this particular outfit for? Which one do I need to call someone in advance? So I try to make sure that I take that quiet time so that makes my week less overwhelming. I don't want it to be Wednesday and now they're telling me I'm unprepared, I don't have this, where are you? And now we have to rush. And then I think other things that refill you, like things you do together with your friends, with your family, spending quality time with people. Because I'm extroverted, I need to spend time with people. If I spend a week by myself, I'm not going to have better energy. So you have to schedule those things and plan them. Don't plan it every single day, otherwise you're now also going to be tired. But I think finding that balance took me some time, and knowing which things I need to put in daily, weekly, monthly to feel whole. And the biggest piece of that was learning to say no. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, but you have to learn to protect yourself and have those boundaries.
True.
Because if you say yes to everything, you're constantly depleted.
You can't be everywhere.
You can't be everywhere.
And I remember what I read from Essentialism. That book taught me a lot in life. There is a lot of power in saying no. The guy said, however juicy the deal might be, maybe it's a test for you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a temptation.
Because you keep
to
asking
put you
God for
down.
something, but you're not ready for that something. So they keep sending you small tests. And if you keep making the poor choice, you're not growing, you're not learning. If I find myself in the same position year after year, I would be very upset. Like, what is going on? Why aren't I growing? Why aren't I moving? It's because I'm making poor decisions. I'm choosing the old habits and the old patterns.
Does
Yet the
Mzee-
person I'm trying to be is not that person.
Does Mzee let you take decisions?
Of course.
Hey! Interesting. You don't. Some you don't even need to consult.
A lot we don't need to consult. I think it takes time to build trust.
Mm.
He had to we worked closely together for a few years so that I learned from him and I know how he thinks. In this situation, how would he make that decision? Then how would I do it? And then we find a middle ground. Certain things we still have to engage and discuss, but a lot of the things, it runs.
Was he intentional that I must teach you, you must learn?
Oh my God, from when I was like 5.
Oh.
He's always been a teacher. I think that's what in another life he would have been a teacher. That's his nature. Since we were kids, he's always been trying to teach us principles and teach us how to make decisions. So he doesn't believe in cramming. He doesn't want you to say the perfect answer just to say it. He wants to know, how did you come to that decision? And he tests you in real life. This is the situation. How would you handle it?
Wow. So how would you do this? How would you do your decisions?
So for me, I always try to get the most information up front as possible. Listen to all the different sides of the story, do some independent research, and then also assess what is the desired goal. What are we trying to achieve? Then you use the information that you have, and now you assess different options. What are the risks? What are the consequences? What are the resources needed? And come up with different scenarios. Scenario A, this will be the downside, this is the positives, this is how much it will cost, this is how long it will take. Scenario B, we could do it faster, it will cost more, and this many people will be upset, but you'd get to the goal faster. Or scenario C, let's do it the slowest way possible,
But
it's
Dr.
cheaper,
Nataliey,
and then this is how the reaction will be.
you do it, you go through all those processes for you to make a decision.
In every decision.
My God.
But the more you do it, the faster it becomes, the easier it is.
What does it take to get there?
Read. Learn, listen. I can't be an expert in all the fields that we work in. So I have experts. So when it comes to a big decision, I need you, the technical person there, but I have to be able to process all these different options because I have to have a big picture. How is it going to affect the people? How is it going to affect the finances? What will the PR and the branding be? What's the long-term consequence of this decision? And it's just, you get used to making all those decisions.
Have you ever made a vast decision where they come, Dr. Nataliey, this has happened, yes, do it, without any thought attached to it?
No.
Aye.
You have to think. What do you mean?
There are decisions where you just have to say, please, do it.
By the time I've said do it, I've thought about it. I've assessed the risks, the consequences. What happens if this doesn't work? How do I, you have to judge. Think about it this way. You know when you're going home in the car and there's traffic on 3 different roads, but you can't see the traffic. You don't know which one it's going to be. If I take this route, it's going to take me 30 minutes, but there might be traffic. This route is shorter, but if I find something there, that road was under construction. You think about these things quickly. Okay, let me go this way. That's what it's like. But you're doing it for different things. And I think with practice, you get better at it. So it's easier for me because now I know this kind of project costs this much. This is the price of this. This team is tired. They can't afford this project right now. You have all this information and you know what the goals are. So it's not difficult. It's
I
just
see you work
intense.
most with the Indians. Yeah. And Mzee is close to so many Indians.
He learned a lot from them. Those were his mentors.
That's what I want to know. What do you learn from the Indians?
Oof, Indians are disciplined. Even my Indian friends, I'm just like, wow, the level of discipline they have. I think that's what he learned from Indians. Indians start teaching their children from young. You're going to work in my shop. Every day come to the shop after school, you start learning. It's a different attitude we have as Africans. But so my dad picked that up, and that's why all of us started working in his companies young. And so there are small principles. They're always talking about money in front of their kids. African families, parents feel children should not know the truth of finances or discuss these things.
If other family members don't know, why would they tell their children?
So I think there are small things I've noticed because we've spent a lot of time with Indian families also. Those are my dad's friends. We've grown up with their kids. And you learn a lot, the way they think. In fact, when I first moved back, a lot of the people I'd go to advice were my Indian friends who had lived here longer than me, and they were working with their parents. Because also you fight a lot with your parents in the beginning. So me, I'm like, want to kill this guy in the office. And they're like, no, this is how you handle it. This is what you should do. So they gave me a lot of advice. And also they have different companies in different fields, how you can be organized, how you deal with different temperaments, different people. And they also feel, I think when you're Indian living in Uganda, they also have a lot of pushback sometimes from their staff or from people who work with them. And me, because of my accent, when I came back, some people would not feel comfortable or talk where I can't understand. So I got a lot of support and guidance. I think their world, their culture has a lot more business in it. And you can't say all Indians, because Indians are different, but like business Indians, the Gujarati community, they talk about business and understand it in a much, it's part of their day-to-day, which is what I think our family
They
is
never
like.
look for jobs.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Wow.
Even when I was going to do my master's, I remember one of my Indian friends saying, "Masters? For what?
But why did you do
Why?"
masters?
Because she worked in her dad's business and I was already working in my dad's business. And she's like, why would you go and do a master's?
Why did you do masters?
I was interested in the principle of social entrepreneurship because I had worked enough and I can see how you make money. It didn't seem like rocket science to me, but I was like, this can't be it. What's the point of making money just to have money? The money you're making should be making an impact. It should be making the community better, the people you work with, the people you serve, like everyone should be benefiting, not just you who owns the company. So I wanted to go and study that and understand it because I think for the longevity of Simba and my own personal principles, that's important.
Wow. So what does it take? I mean, what is a Simba group of companies doing to make sure that they stay relevant amidst all the transitions that are happening in terms of technology, demand, supply? How would you stay relevant?
I think you have to be proactive. You have to keep up with what's going on in the world. The beauty is here in Uganda, everyone is young, right? 70% of us are under 35, under 30, something like that. So everywhere you go, there are young people. Most of our staff, I think, are under the age of 25. So it's easy to see what's trending, what's happening, but I think you have to be intentional in every industry to know what is the new technology, what are the new best practices, what are the new standards, what's happening out there, and bring it in. So for me, I make sure our heads of department have time that they are also always learning. It's important. You have to keep learning your industry, your skills, your own leadership, and know what's relevant. You can't just know the Uganda market. I need to be able to ask you, what are the South African hotels doing about this issue? I need to be able to say, did you look at the machinery in India compared to the ones in China and in Germany? Why would we buy this machine? So I want you to have an answer. So you have to keep learning and reading and listening and knowing so that you make sure you're making the right decisions. You don't want to buy old news and bring it into your company.
No
you have
way.
to keep going.
True. So I would love you to look into this camera and speak to those people who are looking up to you. Share with them some wisdom in terms of discipline, because the difference between you and them is discipline.
Sure. So what I would suggest is don't think short term. Short-term pains, you can survive more than you think you can. Think of the long term. A lot about discipline is sacrificing today what you would want for tomorrow. So you think of the person you want to be in 10 years. How are you going to be that person if you keep making the decisions that today you is making? It's small decisions, like when you think of your physical self. Did you eat the burger? Did you eat the salad? Did you go to the gym? Yes or no? So small decisions like that lead you on a path. So the same attitude is with your business, with your career, with your studies. Try and make decisions for long-term you. What is in the best interest of you in 10 years, not in the best interest of you today. Yeah, it would be fun to go to the party today, but then that means you won't be able to study for the exam you have tomorrow. Or that means you're going to spend money on transport and drinks and food, and that money could have gone into your business, which would have helped your business grow in 6 months. So it's harder because you don't reap the reward immediately, and we have a lot of instant gratification in our lives right now. But that sacrifice, that's discipline. The discipline is saying, I'm not going to go for that party, or I'm not going to do this thing, or yes, I am going to commit to coming for exercise, and actually showing up. Discipline is doing the right thing whether someone is seeing you or not. It's between you and you, or you and God. I said I'm going to show up, and I actually showed up. I said I'm not going to do this for 6 months. Don't do it for 6 months. It makes you stronger. Discipline is also like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And also you'll respect yourself more, and you'll trust yourself more because you respect your word. You know that you are a reliable person. You're a consistent person. Once you can trust yourself, other people will also start to trust you. So once you're in your business and you say, support my business, I'll deliver on time, and you deliver on time, then they will hire you again. They will buy from you again. So building that kind of consistency, that takes discipline in your character. If you're indisciplined in your personal life, there's no way you're going to have discipline in a business. And in a business, you really need discipline. So it's an important trait, I think, to practice and learn. No one is born with it. No one is forced to have it. It's a choice that you make every day. And who you are in 10 years is determined by the choices that you make every day. Good luck.
Wow. Wow. Where do you get all this information? Are they the scars you have on your body? These are all business scars that you're sharing with the people. Interesting. Interesting. Dr. Nataliey, I would like to thank you so much for showing up. But I have only 3 or 4 rapid questions.
Sure.
It's not a courtroom. Choose not to answer. Say pass if you don't want to answer.
Okay.
Why do you have tattoos?
I like tattoos. I think I have an artsy, creative side. So I try not to neglect that side of me. It's fun and it's creative. And most of my tattoos, honestly, are a reminder of a life lesson. So it's something that I need to remind myself before I go backwards or
There's a story
backslide.
to it.
There's a story to each tattoo and a reason why I have it, to motivate me and to remind me, and it's very visual.
Oh, interesting. Your guilty pleasure?
Ooh.
Netflix. What do people don't know about you?
I don't know. I'm quite a transparent person, I'd like to think. There's a lot of my life that's out there in the public.
Okay. What's your most childhood memory?
Like my favorite? Oh, that's easy. Christmas in Ibanda.
Christmas in?
Ibanda. That's our village.
Ibanda.
Yes.
Hey.
That's how you should say it.
Ibanda.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you, Simon.
And amidst your busy schedule, I don't take this for granted. Thank you so much. Send regards to everybody that coordinated this.
My pleasure.
Friends, that is it for Live with Simon Chris Makanga. Thank you so much. And if it's still your very first time here, endeavor to go and subscribe, like, and also give us a comment basing on what you have liked. If you want to be part of this community, please go ahead and reach out. We shall be in touch. Until another video, may the good Lord of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob be with you. Until we meet in another video, for now, it's a bye-bye.